Now let's give a round of applause for our next speaker.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I recently read a quote online that said, "Too many people don't recognise fascism because they think fascism will arrive selling oppression and tyranny. But if you're part of the privileged group, fascism is selling you safety, normalcy and tradition." When I read that, I was immediately reminded of so many people that I've come across, both in my personal life, but also celebrities and internet personalities and even organisations who've tried so hard to portray themselves as some kind of activists or human rights warriors, but who we find to be completely silent on this issue. So to them I say, please don't call yourself an activist just because you wear a rainbow lanyard at work, or because you changed your Facebook profile picture to a black circle back in 2020 when it was fashionable to do so. I honestly don't care how much your company values diversity and inclusion if it's not able to bring itself to take a stand in the middle of a genocide. True activism is about taking a stand even when it's difficult, uncomfortable, or you actually have something to lose. If your activism is void of any kind of struggle, discomfort or controversy, it's not activism, it's performance. The suffragettes weren't considered nice when they fought for women's rights early in the 1900s. Those who rose up in the Stonewall riots in the 1960s weren't considered nice at the time either. And I can guarantee you that the same people sitting back and refusing to say or do something during this genocide are the same people who would have sat back and done nothing during the Vietnam War or during apartheid in South Africa. I think many of you will agree with me that it's extraordinary how many undercover racists posing as progressives have been in our lives. Asking for a genocide to be stopped and for the liberation of the Palestinian people is not a radical demand, it's a normal human response to the tragedy that we're seeing. And anyone who tries to convince you otherwise needs to question what on earth they actually stand for. Because as far as I'm concerned, those who are unable to even say something during this pivotal moment in time have truly exposed themselves. We must remember that no matter how difficult some of these sacrifices we've made have been, they do not compare to the sacrifices our Palestinian brothers and sisters have made, not just over the last 5 or 6 months, but over the last 75 years. So if you ever feel yourself being weighed down by your activism, I want you to remember that Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison for opposing apartheid and segregation. I want you to remember that Mohammed Abdullah, a 12-year-old Palestinian boy, was shot dead by the Israeli forces during the Second Intifada in 2000 while his father tried to shield him. I want you to remember Shireen Abu Akleh, a Palestinian journalist who reported on Israel's crimes for 25 years before being shot dead by them in 2022. While wearing a press vest. And I want you to remember 5-year-old Hind Rajab stuck in that car alone and scared after having watched several of her family members killed by the IDF. So let's keep this momentum, let's keep coming out, and let's keep fighting with whatever tools are available to us as privileged Westerners. And just before I go, I recently found out that Massa, a Palestinian Mancunian, was arrested and released on bail by Greater Manchester Police. So I just want to say shame on the Tories, shame on the Labour opposition, and shame on Greater Manchester Police. Thank you. Free Palestine!